When you start earning money, you want to enjoy your money.
Yes.
Right? And the only way you can enjoy your money is if your health span is longer than your disease span. Right? Because none of us is going to live forever.
Yes,
Right?
yes, exactly.
If money could save your life, Steve Jobs would still be alive today.
Yes.
One of the richest men in the world. Right? So it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter anything. It doesn't matter your status. You could have the best doctors in the world. It doesn't matter. Right? The most important thing is to make sure that health span stays as long as possible. Okay? So that's what we mean when we say live better every day. That's what we were talking about when we say your responsibility as a lifestyles distributor and your responsibility to your new customers and to your downline is to make sure that they're using the product every day. Line is to make sure that they're using the product every day, that they're consistent, right? That they're sharing the message, that they're getting a benefit. Because the difference between lifestyles and many other companies in direct sales, there's one fundamental major difference between us and a lot of other companies. Our distributors actually have customers.
Yes,
right?
yes.
We actually have customers that buy our product every single month and aren't interested in the business.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's perfect. That's what you want. Now, you want people that are interested in the business, but not everybody's going to be interested in the business.
Yes.
And if they're not interested in the business, it's okay. It's okay. Don't beat them up. Right? Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Sell them product. Well, it's very simple. You need to qualify anyway. Right? You need to have customers. Right? And that's the difference. That's why with lifestyles, we have people that can make a good income. They don't get rich, but they don't have to get rich because they're happy just making extra money.
Yes.
When you make extra money, it reduces stress.
Yes.
Right? When you reduce stress, you have a longer health span. Right? So you're happier, you've got more money, you have less stress. Right? And for a lot of people, that's what they want, right? That's what they want. They want that. So don't try to force people to be something they're not going to be. Right?
Okay.
Your job is to encourage them, constantly encourage them, right? Your customers. Because the beauty about customers is that they have friends.
Yes.
Right? And if a customer doesn't want to be a distributor, that's great because they're using our product. Right? They're part of the Lifestyles family. And quite possibly and often, what occurs is one of their friends is interested in the business.
Yes.
Right? And that's important because without that customer, you wouldn't have access to the friend.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter even if somebody's buying a bottle of Intra a month or if they're buying a BT kit a month. That's perfect. You want to follow up with them, you want to stay in touch with them because you never ever know where the next GMD ever is going to come from.
Yes.
It's true, right? The next GMD could be their cousin, it could be their brother, it could be their friend. Right? So customers are very, very important. They're important to lifestyles because our attitude at corporate is we love our customers as much as we love our distributors.
Yes.
Right? Because our customers are the lifeblood of the company.
Yes.
Because each and every month they buy product. And when customers buy products from distributors, it helps distributors qualify and it helps distributors earn income.
Yes.
Right? So I know this is a bit of a business talk I'm doing right now. I don't mean to be doing it. But it's just important that the difference between us is that because our products work, right? Because people get a benefit from the product, it means that we tend to keep our customers longer, right? Which is really, really important because that helps the company grow. That helps the company grow. A lot of other direct sales companies, distributors buy the product, they have no way to sell the product, right? Which puts a lot of stress on the distributors, right? And we don't want that. We don't want you to have that stress. So we want you to have your customers. So this whole concept of how you can stay healthy, you have to think about it in how it relates directly to your life, and how it relates directly to the lives of your downline. What do they do every day? Do they use the products? Right? Do they eat properly? Do they exercise? Do they keep their stress down? All of these things that make them better people, more productive people, make them better distributors, right? Make them better leaders. And the one thing that's so obvious about our leaders, the GMDs, the IMDs, our elite NMDs, they're very, very focused. Very, very focused, right? They work hard, but they work smart. They're very focused people. And that's what you have to be if you really want to be successful. You have to have the right mindset. You have to be driven. You have to stay focused. Continue to use the products because you're going to need the energy. Right?
Yes.
It's easy being a GMD, right? It's not
Yes.
easy becoming a GMD.
Yes.
These people work extremely hard, right? They work extremely hard. And then the really, really good ones, the really top quality global marketing directors, they never quit, right?
Yes.
They keep working. They keep building their business because they want other people to succeed, right? That's how they got there. And then it becomes more about their downline than it is about them, right? It's more about helping other people become
Yes.
successful. Okay, so again, we have all these challenges in the Philippines. In the Philippines, because of the level of pollution, it's extremely high. It's extremely high. Just by living here, your health is at risk. Okay, just by living here. You can move to Canada where there's less pollution, where there's more space, where there's more open air, where the cars don't pollute. We don't have jeepneys. The factories are all controlled by the government as far as the amount of pollution. Okay, it's a completely different situation. Okay, in Canada we have free health care. You don't pay.
Yes.
Nothing. So you go to the doctor if you need open heart surgery that's cost $30,000 US, it's free. You don't pay. If you need cancer medication in Canada, it's free. You don't pay. Now you pay taxes, right? But the government has a health program. Universal health care the moment you're born to the moment you die. You pay nothing. Okay. You don't have that here.
Yeah.
So here it's different. Here a lot of people can't afford insurance or their insurance doesn't cover certain things.
Yes.
So all of these things that you see here, high blood pressure, medication, costs money, has side effects. Diabetes, medication, costs money, major side effects. Very difficult to live with diabetes. Once you have it, you have it. There's no cure, right? There's no cure for it. You're not born with it, right?
Yes.
The fact that you get diabetes as an adult means that your lifestyle is out of alignment, right? It means that your disease span has come early. Now you're living with that, okay? Same with high blood pressure. Same with cancer. Now, with cancer, there's a lot of genetic factors. If you have cancer in your family, there's a better chance that you will get cancer because it runs in your family. And there's a genetic sort of thing. Our DNA, our genetics, the way we look, the way we talk, it's because of our parents and their parents and their parents, right? Our kids look like us, and sometimes they talk like, does your kid look like you? A face only his mother could love. Global marketing director. Yes or yes? He's my long lost brother from another mother. I don't know how that happened. We have to figure that out. It's a mystery. We'll talk about it after. Okay? But yes, of course, so these genetic factors, right? So if your grandfather died of cancer, or your grandmother, or let's say one of your parents, unfortunately, there's a better chance that you might get that same disease, right? Because it runs in the family. But there are things that you can do, because the only person responsible for your health is you. It's you. That's the only person. It's not your doctor. It's not your husband, your wife, your parents. It's you, right? You're responsible for your own health. You're responsible for your own financial future. The good news is, because you're sitting in this room today, and because of the thousands and tens of thousands of Lifestyles distributors across the world, you guys know that you're responsible for your financial future and for your health. That's why you're sitting here today. Yes. Right? So you're willing, you're aware of it, you're willing to do what you need to do to stay healthy so that your health span goes until you're 80 or even 90. You know, you see more and more people around the world living to be 100 years old. There's a guy who was born in India, who moved to Canada when he was in his 40s, okay? And he ran a marathon, and every year in Toronto we have a bank called Scotiabank. It's like, your banks here, Phil Bank and all the different big banks here. So the bank sponsors this marathon race in Toronto every year. And the best runners from the world come to this marathon. The Kenyan runners that are the fastest marathon runners in the world. This Indian guy ran the marathon. He's 102. He's 102 years old, and he completed a marathon. Took him almost 5 hours. He's running along like this. But he just kept running. Right? The guy ran a marathon at 102 years old. Then he said he's going to retire from the marathon at 102. He still runs every single day, and he runs what's called a half marathon now, right? But this guy in Toronto ran this marathon at 102 years old. So my question to you is, what is your excuse? What's your excuse, right? In Malaysia, they have a prime minister who just won the election 6 or 8 months ago. He's 93 or 94, right? Yeah, 93 years old. And he's the prime minister. He won the election. And people look for excuses for everything, right? People look for excuses for everything. I won't take my Nutrient today. I'm not going to take my Nutrient Plus. I'll take it later. I don't need to take Fiber Life. I'll take it later. I don't need to talk to anybody. I'll do it later. People look for excuses all the time. In Malaysia, there's a new saying. People now say there is no excuse if the Prime Minister is 94 and he's working every day. What's your excuse? Right? None. You don't have one. All of you are young. You're still, hopefully healthy. Hopefully you're in your health span. Right? So there really should be no excuse. Right? But the products are the foundation for keeping you healthy. Right? That's the foundation. So if you look at the 3 most important things, your diet, which includes the Lifestyles products every single day, because that's part of your intake, right? So remember, garbage goes in, garbage comes out, right? So part of the 3 pillars is your diet. Number 2 is your activity. Do you sit on your butt all day? Are you lazy? Do you exercise? Even if you walk, even if you do anything. You don't need to go to a gym. There are lots of ways to stay active. The most important thing is you have to get your heart rate up. Every single day you have to elevate your heart rate, because that forces blood through your body, and all the nutrition is more powerful if it is flowing through your body properly. Okay? So the activity level is number 2. So 3 pillars. 1 is diet and intake. 2 is activity. 3 is stress. You have to reduce and lower your stress level. Now, we're going to talk about the telomeres a little bit, which is this new word we have. It's not a new word, but it's a new word for us.
Yeah.
Right? And it's very, very important because it determines your health span. It completely determines your health span. Okay? And your telomeres, which protect the cells of your body, we're going to talk about it, are impacted by the 3 pillars. Intake, diet and supplements. B, activity level. C, stress. Those 3 things are the most important, right? Now, I want you to be healthy, not just because if you're healthy, you're going to be more productive, right? You're going to have more business. You're going to be more successful in everything you do if you're healthy, because you're not spending your time and your mind and your energy thinking about your bad health, right? You're just out being successful. Right? So that's one reason why I want you healthy. The other reason I want you healthy is because I want you to be able to enjoy your life. Right? I want you to be able to enjoy your life. So, we've got all these issues. Now, we're going to talk about Intra in a little different way because you guys are distributors. You know, I don't have to tell you about how great this product is. Right? But I want to tell you why it's great. Okay? I want to tell you why the product works in 90%, and I say 90% because I know that it's true. 9 out of 10 people who use the product every single day receive a positive benefit. Now,
Yes.
the worst thing you can do is try to tell somebody what Intra is going to do. Okay? Because I get the question all the time. My aunt has arthritis. Will the product help her? Right? So, this is what lifestyles distributors sometimes do, right? Somebody says to them, I've got arthritis, will Intra help me? And the distributor answers, absolutely. Yes, it'll help you. So they give the person a bottle of Intra, and the guy goes home and he starts taking Intra. He's got arthritis in his elbow, right? And he starts taking Intra, and after taking Intra, the first ounce, he waits 15 minutes, and then he checks his elbow. Still hurts. Right? Next day, he takes more Intra. He waits 30 minutes, checks his elbow, still hurts. This goes on and on for a month. Every single day. Takes Intra, checks the elbow, still hurts. At the end, he brings the bottle back, sets it down in front of the distributor, and says, I want a refund. The distributor goes, why? What do you mean you want a refund? Well, you told me that this was going to cure my arthritis. And it didn't work, because my elbow still hurts. I want a refund. Now, the way to approach the situation is, first of all, never tell anybody what Intra is going to do. So when the guy comes up to you and says, I've got arthritis in the elbow, is Intra going to help me? Your answer is, you know what? I'm not 100% sure it's helped a lot of people. Take the product and pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to how you feel. And then let's talk in a month. So the guy goes away and he takes Intra. And after the first ounce of Intra, he doesn't check his elbow, right? And the next day he takes more Intra. 5 days later, he notices he's sleeping better.
Yes.
And then he takes Intra, he keeps taking it, and 15, 20 days later, he notices he has more energy. And after 30 days, his wife says, he's sexier. Oh, yes. Answer yes. Yes. Okay. And then he comes back to you, and he puts the empty bottle in front of you. He doesn't say, I want a refund. He says, I want a refill. Refill, right? We're in the refill business.
Yes.
We're not in the refunding business. So he says to you, you know, my elbow still hurts, but I noticed I'm sleeping better. I noticed I have a little more energy. I know my skin's clearer. I feel better. And I think if I keep taking it, it'll help my elbow eventually. And it probably will.
Yes.
But you can't put it into their head what it's going to do.
Yes.
Don't tell somebody what Intra is going to do, because you don't know. You have no idea. I don't know what it's going to do. Right? I don't know what it's going to do. So don't tell them what it's going to do. Tell them to take it, and the key words, pay attention to how you feel.
Okay.
Because most people go through the day, they don't have any idea how they feel.
Yes.
They don't know whether they feel good, bad, they don't pay attention until something bad happens.
Yes.
Right? That's why men are famous for never going to the doctor. Right? Like, I don't know if it's like this in the Philippines, but in Canada and North America, guys never go to the doctor because they're afraid the doctor's going to find something wrong with them. So they'd rather wait until they're so sick, right, that they can hardly function. Then they go to the doctor, and then it's too late. And then it's serious, right? So when people pay attention to how they feel, they'll actually notice something different when they use Intra. Okay? 90% of them are going to notice something different. And when they notice something different, that's when they say to you, I want a refill, not a refund.
Yes.
Because we offer 100% money back guarantee, we never have to use it. Right? We never use it. Because people who use the product receive a benefit. And they feel better, right? So that's kind of the thing. Now, when I say Intra is made in Canada, it's very, very important because, the GMP symbol that you see there in red is Good Manufacturing Practices, which is a set of rules that govern how something is made, in particular drugs. There's a drug GMP in Canada that stipulates how medicine is manufactured. That GMP exists in the United States and other advanced countries.
Yes.
In countries like the Philippines and other Southeast Asian countries, it's not as strong. In places like China, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? That's why you have to be very careful.
Yes.
So when we say GMP, it means that Intra, every single bottle, and the Intra factory is licensed. It has a license from the Canadian government, the health department. Okay? And even though we operate under natural health products, GMP, it's very, very similar to drug manufacturing GMP. So the quality control is very, very high. The government can come in anytime and inspect the factory. We have to renew the license every year. Intra itself in Canada has what's called an NPN, Natural Product Number, which means that the product is manufactured to a very high standard. Now, the thing about this in Canada is, when you have a factory with GMP, it does not just affect the product made for Canada. Okay? It affects the product made for every country. Meaning that the Philippine Intra is made under the exact same quality control standards as the Canadian Intra. Okay? That's very, very important to know. It's not like in Canada they're getting a different Intra. It's the same. That's why I say every single bottle of Intra is the same, because you have to understand that the factory in Canada legally cannot make a product that is not GMP certified, no matter where it's sold. Okay? So that's why your trust level, your confidence level should be extremely high.
Yes.
Right? Because made in Canada has a very high standard. Right? Very, very high standard. And it's important. It's important because not only is the Intra-factory GMP Essensia, which is the manufacturer for both Nutria Plus and FiberLife. Okay, they make FiberLife and Nutria Plus. they also operate under an extremely high GMP standard. Okay, extremely. It's the same GMP standard. Okay, so every bottle of Nutria Plus that's made in Canada carries a natural product number, just like Intra. But every bottle that's sold in the Philippines is made with the exact same quality. Okay, and that's very, very important. Okay, so GMP is crucial. Now, when we say what's inside of Intra, it literally is plants. Roots, leaves, barks, and berries, these are plants that are growing around the world. Okay, so you can see here that our plants, and we get them from different countries, but they undergo quality control testing. I'll explain that, right? But these are naturally dried, there's no chemicals, they're not sprayed. A lot of plants, when they pick them, they spray them with chemicals. Okay? It's not the case with the plants that are in Intra. They're tested for chemical residue of sprays. Does not exist. Okay? So there are no chemical sprays. They're dried naturally, and we store them in bulk. So if you go to the Intra factory, you'll see literally bags and bags and bags and bags of plants, dried plants. Ginseng root, schisandra berry, cascara bark, reishi mushroom. All of these plants are in a dried, solid form. Okay, so they're in a solid form, just like you see plants in nature. Okay, now Intra is not a solid, Intra is a liquid. Right, so we have to make a process whereby we turn the solids into a liquid. Okay, so this is how it starts though. It starts with the quality plants, because each one of these plants has chemicals in it. Good chemicals, right?
Yes.
And another word, a better word to use would really be nutrients, okay, that these plants contain. Okay, so every one of these plants has a very unique set of properties, of beneficial nutrients. Okay? And don't forget, we have 23, so we have a very wide range of possible nutrients that can benefit the body. Okay, not just one, you know. It's, you know, like people take goji or they take, you know, noni, and they don't realize that that's just one thing. It's like drinking orange juice. It's oranges, right? That's it. Nothing else. That's why when I say Intra's 23 products in one bottle, it really is. It's 23 different products all blended together in a very unique formulation. By the way, there's only one person in the world who actually knows the Intra formula, right? That's me. The only person in the world. Like, Sean DeBoer has seen it, but he can't remember it. Because it's very complicated. David DeBoer knows what it is. He's seen it, but of course he can't remember what it is. Because it's very complicated formulation, right? So the thing is that it's owned by Lifestyles. There's nobody that knows what it is. Even the Intra factory employees don't know. They don't know what it is, because all they see is drums and drums of different plants, and they mix it in with a recipe, but they don't really know what it all means, right? None of these people know what it really means. It's like the Coca-Cola formula. Nobody knows what it is. Like there might be one person. And it's the same with the Intra formula. So it's impossible to copy it. It can't be done. Right? It cannot be done. It's absolutely impossible. So you should know that. It's very, very complicated because of the 23 herbs, and I'm going to explain to you why it gets complicated. Okay? But you should know that as a Lifestyles distributor, you have access to this product that is impossible to duplicate. Okay? That's why we've never changed it either, because we're too scared to change it. Right? Like, we don't want to change it because it works so good, it works so well, that there's no way we'd ever want to change the formulation. Okay? So, Every single ingredient in a Lifestyles product, every single ingredient, all 23 herbs in Intra, all 12 ingredients in Nutria Plus, and the ingredients in Fiber Life for soluble fiber formulation, every active ingredient undergoes these quality control tests. Okay, first one, contain active compounds. The biggest problem in the industry today is companies use products that don't have any active compounds because they don't care. They just want to sell product. They don't know what's in it. So when you go to GNC and when you buy stuff that's made around the world, including in the United States, even though they have quality control, they have a lot of people who aren't honest, and 60% of their products don't contain what's on the label. 60%. Okay? So, when an ingredient comes into Lifestyles, we check and we do a lab test to confirm the active ingredient. Okay? So, as an example, when ginseng comes in for Intra, we take a sample of the plant, we send it to the laboratory, and we have it tested. We test it for the active ingredient in ginseng, which is called ginsenosides. That's the active ingredient that benefits the body. So we test it at the laboratory. We do microbiological testing. So we make sure that there's no bacteria or mold or anything like that. Because these are plants grown in nature, they could have bacteria, they could have mold on them, all of these things, right? Because they're living things, right? So we have to make sure that they are free of bacteria. So we run a full micro test on every single ingredient. Every one of them. Okay? Number 3, heavy metals. Because you have to be careful that the plants aren't grown in lead or mercury or arsenic or cadmium or some of these other metals called heavy metals, which are dangerous to the body. The most important one is lead. Lead is very dangerous to the human body, especially in kids, because it affects their brain development.
Yes.
That's why years ago, earlier in Canada, they banned lead from gasoline. Lead-free, right? They banned lead from paint in Canada years and years ago in the 60s because it's very damaging. So what we do is we do this heavy metal testing, okay? So we do a full testing for all these heavy metals, and because we manufacture under GMP, the standards for heavy metals is very, very low. So you have to be under the levels, which is extremely low. What that means is when you drink Intra, when you take Nutria Plus, and when you take Fiber Life, you can be 100% certain that the active ingredients are there, that there's no mold, that there's no bacteria, and that there's no heavy metals. You can be 100% certain. Because not only do we test every single ingredient, after the product is made, and all the ingredients are mixed together, and the Nutria Plus is in the capsule, we send a finished bottle to the laboratory to repeat the testing. Okay? So we check before and after. And then every lab test comes to my computer. Okay? So I get all the emails with all the lab tests of every batch of product we manufacture. And I can tell you, I also get the invoice. It's expensive. Lab testing is expensive, right? That's why most companies don't do it. They don't care. It's okay, just send it out. But we know that because of the reputation of the products, and the fact that the products are so beneficial, and the fact that no matter how big Lifestyles becomes, we want to make sure that every single bottle of product is the same. I said it yesterday. They're the same. It has active ingredients that it says on the label is in the bottle. Right? So you can be sure, you can be 100% sure when you're talking to somebody, your confidence level should be so high that the product you're giving them is going to work and it's never going to contain anything dangerous ever.
Yes.
Okay, so that's very, very important. Very important. Okay, we're going to talk about standardization, what this word means, because it's a very important word. Remember, this is product training.
Yes.
You want to learn something?
Yes.
Yes or yes?
Yes.
There's only one answer to that question. Okay, standardization is a very, very important word because it ensures the active ingredients level. Okay, so let's see if the next slide shows this. Okay, we're going to talk about standardization in a second. We're going to come back to it. Okay, now, remember that we have plants that are solids, right? But Intra is a liquid. So, we have to turn, I'll just put this here, we have to turn this liquid, all these plants, all 23, we have to turn them from a solid into a liquid before we can make Intra. So how do you do that, right? It's very, very simple. It's like when you're at home, you make a cup of tea. Okay, so you have tea leaves, which are solid. Tea leaves are plants. As a matter of fact, in Nutria Plus, we have green tea extract, right? So you have the tea leaves at home, and you put the tea bag in your cup, and you pour hot water on top, right? And you wait, and the water starts to turn color.
Yes.
And some people like their tea very light, other people like their tea very strong. And the only difference is time, right? The longer you leave the tea bag in the water, the more of the ingredients in the tea leaves seep into the water. So you have a stronger cup of tea. The stronger your cup of tea is, the more active ingredients you have in the tea.
Yes.
Right? So if you really want a good cup of tea, make it very dark because it's much better.
Yes.
Don't put sugar in it.
Yes.
Don't. My friends, I know, you sweet. That's making an extract. You just turned a solid into a liquid. Okay? So, at our factory, we do the same thing. Similar to that. It's like similar to making a cup of tea. But you know, your teapot at home is probably, you could fit it in your hand, right? You have a small teapot. So our teapot at the factory looks like this. See this on the right here? That's our teapot at the Intra Extraction Factory. Seriously, that's how big it is, right? Now, the difference between when you make tea at home and when we make an extract for Intra is we use the same thing. We have water, we have time, but we have pressure. So this machine adds pressure. Now, do you sell pressure cookers here? You know these machines that just build the pressure and cook things very fast, right? Well, this extractor, it's called, uses pressure to force more active ingredients out of the plant. So when you throw away your tea bag, there's still a lot of active ingredients in the tea bag, right? Because all you used was hot water and time. But if you had pressure, you could extract way higher levels of active ingredients from the plant. So what happens here is that we take the 23 ingredients. So let's say we take ginseng, and ginseng comes in a root, right? First thing we do is we make sure it's clean, we've done all the testing, no mold, no bacteria, it's all ready to go. Step number one, chop it into pieces. Because when you chop it into pieces, you expose more surface area, okay? Then you put the chopped ginseng into the tank and you add the water. Before you add the water, very important, close this door. Close the door. Because if you don't close the door, whoops, you have a flood. Okay? And this guy here, I don't know who he is, but his job is to close the door. He's the official door closer. It says that on his thing here, door closer. So you close the door, you add the water, and some plants, it's a combination of water and alcohol, depending on the plant. But the alcohol is boiled off at the end. So there's no alcohol left in the liquid. But some plants require a combination of water and alcohol to extract the correct active. See, it's complicated, right?
Yes.
So you have to extract the right active ingredients. So what happens here is then we will put the herbs in here, we fill it with water. You can see here is the pressure gauge and the dials. So what they do is they increase the pressure after the door closes, they increase the pressure, and they start the extraction process. Now, when you make your tea at home, maybe you wait 5 minutes, maybe you wait 10 minutes. This extraction unit takes up to 5 days. 24 hours a day, 5 days to extract all of the active ingredients from ginseng. And ginseng has what are called ginsenosides, which are the active ingredients that benefit the human body. But there are many different ginsenosides, right? So we extract lots of them, but we only test one. Because we want to test the one that we feel is the most important of quality. Okay? So, this can extract up to 20 times, and in some cases higher, the power of the plant in the solid form. So if you ate the ginseng root, right, chopped it all up and put it in a capsule like a lot of companies do, and you swallow that capsule, you get some benefit. But when you do the extraction, the power can be 20 times higher. 20 times, right? So that's the difference when you do what's called an extraction process. And that's why Intra is so powerful. Yes. Okay? Because they're all the herbal extracts. And that's why a lot of people only take one jigger, you call it. Some people take 3, 4, 5 if they really need it. Okay? But we have a high level of active ingredients, can be 20 times higher. Okay? Up to 5 days. The key is, when do you know it's done? Okay, it's very important. You have to take it out at the right time.
Yes.
So, this is how I do it, right? You put the cake batter in the oven. You have the oven on, right? And then you see what the recipe says, 20 minutes at 350. That's an example, right? So in 20 minutes, you open the oven. What I do is I stick a knife in the center. Do you guys do this?
Yes.
And then you lift the knife out, and if there's still batter on the knife, it's not done.
Yes.
They're very scientific. Yes,
Yeah.
very scientific. You put it back in, do a test again, until when you pull the knife out, there's no batter, your cake's done.
Yes.
Right? Very, very scientific process. Well, we can't do that with Intra, because you can't open that door. Do not open that door. Once you open the door, whether it's, typically you never open that door, but you open the top. That's the only way you can test it, right? Now, we have a little bit of a different system, because at the bottom we can open a little spot and take some liquid out. And that's what we do. But once you open the top door, all the steam comes out, and you lose the pressure, and then you're done. So you have to know when it's ready, when the batter is cooked, right? So here's how we do that. We do standardization. Okay? It's like if you baked a cake every day for 26 years, you wouldn't need to test batter, right? So we kind of know when it's ready, but what we do is every single day we take a sample of liquid from the bottom, and we send it for standardization testing. So we know how much ginseng we need. We know the active level that we're targeting. So we would send this to the lab and we would test the potency of the ginseng. Once it gets to the level, and we pretty much know exactly when it's going to be, but we test it anyway, right? Then we turn off the machine, we reduce the pressure, we drain the water, and the extract is left. We drain the extract, and the plant is left. Like what's left like your tea bag. And that goes, and then we have the solid extract just of ginseng, okay? And we keep that aside. So now we have ginseng measured, standardized, meaning that every single bottle that uses that ginseng, like that bottle right there, has the right active ingredients. So very, very, very important. Then we repeat this for every single one. Okay, every single one. So the 23 herbs all go through the extraction standardization process. So now we have 23 barrels of these ingredients, and it's just like making a cake. You put the right formula together, you blend them in the right combination. This is also where it gets very, very tricky, okay, because it has to be the right levels. Not every ingredient is the same strength. Not every one. Because there are key ingredients and then there are support botanicals. Like licorice root is a botanical that supports others in a formulation in traditional Chinese medicine. Okay? So, this process is very, very important. You should know that standardization is your guarantee as a lifestyles distributor that every bottle of Intra, every bottle of Nutria Plus, and every bottle of FiberLife has in the bottle exactly what it says on the label. Okay? Every bottle will work. Every bottle has active ingredients. Right? Very, 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 very important. And it doesn't matter how many we make, right? It doesn't matter if we make 10,000 bottles a month or if we make 300,000 bottles of Intra a month. Bottle number 300,000 is exactly the same as bottle number 3,000, which is exactly the same as bottle number 3. They're all identical. Okay, they're all identical. So the product that we sell to the Philippines, every single bottle is going to guarantee you, both as a distributor, as a product user, and as a potential customer, your potential customers, that the product will work. Okay? So standardization is very, very important. Now, we did talk a little bit about where the herbs came from, right? And they do come from all of these different countries, but the thing is that all of the plants come into the factory for extraction. Okay, so no matter where they come from, no matter which country they come from, they all come into the factory and go through the same testing and extraction process. Okay? And then we know, obviously, that's the lifestyle journey where we were. Okay? Now, this one here, when we talk about the 8 body systems, it's extremely important to understand why Intra works. And what a lot of people don't realize is that when you use Intra, your body may not use, or that's not the right word, may not receive a benefit, a primary benefit from all 23 ingredients, right? Because everybody is different. Everybody has a different health challenge. Depending on your 8 body systems, the strength of your 8 body systems determines your health span. Okay? If once one or more of your 8 body systems becomes weak or is not functioning properly, the chances of you entering the disease span of your life is much greater. Okay, much, much greater. It all hinges on these 8 body systems. Immune system, nervous system, structural system, your joints, all of that stuff. Arthritis affects the structural system. Okay? Arthritis is also an immune system disease sometimes. Okay? the nervous system, the hormonal system. All of these things that control how your body functions are based on these biological systems, just like your car has these different systems, right? The human body's the same way. So when you're using intra, your body may only benefit from 5 ingredients. It may benefit from 15. It may benefit from 3 out of the 23. The other ones are supplying nutrients that are helping your body, but the primary benefit that people get, the benefit that makes them go wow, like the wow factor benefit, like I feel better, right? Like my elbow doesn't hurt, I have more energy. My wife says I'm sexier. Sir? Yes or yes? Yes. It's 4. She's counting yes or yeses. I'm going to get a yes or yes bill from Eva later. You owe me invoice. Yes, an invoice for 8 yes or yeses. Okay, so when you drink the intra, it's not like a miracle's going to happen. Okay? It's not like somebody's going to come down from the heavens and tap you on the head and grant you perfect health. Sorry, not going to happen. It's going to take time. Right? Just like it takes time to get arthritis, it takes time to enter the disease span. It takes time. Some people it only takes 20 years. Some people it takes 30 years. Hopefully it takes you 80 years to get there because you guys are doing the right things, right? But for people out there, it takes time to enter this. So when you start using the product, it takes time to receive a benefit because what the products do is that they rebuild and they regenerate the 8 biological systems, which takes time. Normally, you have to do a detoxification process first. So there's a lot of toxins that build up in the body over time, right? Because, air pollution, when you breathe it in and when you breathe it out, something stays behind. It's called in your lungs. Your lungs are a filter, right? So there are these chemicals that are being stored in the body. Now, they did a study in the United States not long ago, and they took samples of people's fat tissue. Because fat tissue is where chemicals are stored.
Yes.
And these were professors at universities, and I don't have this study with me, but I had it, printed it off in Toronto, and I used to use it. But I didn't bring it. I wish I did bring it. But you would be shocked at the number of chemicals stored in your body today. Even the healthiest people, right? All have chemicals stored in our fat tissues. And fat tissue is not just what you see when you look in the mirror, okay? Fluffy. It's the fat inside your body. Because inside your body you have a lot of normal fat tissue, right? Which is normal for good health.
Okay.
But that's where a lot of these chemicals are stored. And they're also stored in your liver. Okay? So every single person has this sort of cocktail of chemicals that are in the environment, in the food you eat, all these things. If you smoke cigarettes, it's a disaster. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The number of chemicals in tobacco is so scary. And if you're breathing this in all the time, not a good situation. Okay? So, a lot of what Intra does is it helps to cleanse the body. Okay? So you see people, they take Intra and they get diarrhea.
Yeah.
And then everybody, oh my God, that's terrible. No, it's good. We have a new certificate we printed. Chantel's going to hand them out for you. It's congratulations, you have diarrhea. Yes, it's a congratulations certificate. Diarrhea certificate. No, it's not. We're not going to do that. But it's a good thing because the body's cleansing.
Yes. Yes.
Very, very important. You have to get everything out, all the toxins out of the body.
Yes.
So that's not a bad situation. So if a customer says to you, I've got diarrhea, say congratulations.
Yes.
Really scare them, right? These people are crazy. It's good, right? Now, if somebody is going through the cleansing process, don't kill them. Like, don't force them to take more and more and more and more. Go slowly. Okay, because the chemicals build up over years and years and years. When you're detoxifying, if they have diarrhea, don't tell them to take more. Tell them just to take a little bit less and just keep going. Okay, just keep going, because the worst thing that can happen, the worst thing that can happen for a customer is to stop taking the product because they have a detoxification reaction.
Yes, yes.
Like, if they have diarrhea, the worst thing they can do is stop taking it.
Yeah.
Because then it stops. And then the chemicals stay in the body. Right? So you need to go through the cleansing process. Not everybody goes through the cleansing process.
Yes.
That's noticeable. But almost everybody goes through it. Some
Yes.
people notice it if they have diarrhea, if their skin breaks out. Right?
Yeah.
Again, a lot of
Wala
toxins come through your
Kani ako,
skin, especially when you're sweating, right? When you're exercising, you're sweating. That's why activity, the second pillar, is very crucial. Because the more you sweat, even in a sauna,
Yeah.
the more you sweat, the better it is for your body.
Yes.
Okay, because that's toxins also coming out of your system through your skin. That's normal.
Yes.
Right? That's why people, human beings, sweat. It's also to regulate your temperature. Okay, so when you're hot, and let's say you're exercising, you're sitting in a sauna and you're really hot, your body's way of cooling itself
Yeah.
is to sweat. Okay, but also these toxins come out of your body. So if your customer has any detoxification or cleansing reaction, it's a sign the product is
It's
working.
working. Yes.
The sign is working.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the worst thing you can do is stop, right? Because then you have to go through the whole process again, right? So you don't want to do that, and that's very important. So that's where you're going to see and this is basically the elimination system, the digestive system. Those are the main systems that cause the detoxification, right? And it's so important because it's the beginning step to better health is to cleanse the body first. Okay, then you can start rebuilding and regenerating, but it takes time. So when you have a customer, your job as a distributor is follow up.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
They are looking up to you. They're looking to you for advice. They're looking to you to care about them.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
To be concerned about them, right? So your job is to follow up. Ask them, how did you like the intro, right? Did you get the bottle open okay? What time of the day did you take it? Ask questions, right? Because some people, they'll take a bottle of intro and they put it in their refrigerator. And you know, people are funny, right? They put it in their refrigerator and every day they open the refrigerator, they look at the bottle, and they think, oh, it's very nice. Like, look at the beautiful label. But they don't drink it. You know, they pick it up and they go, yes, this is beautiful. 23? Okay, just like the guy said. And then they put it back and they close the door. Don't drink it. Right? Because people are creatures of habit.
Yeah.
Right? The creatures of habit. Your job as a distributor is to get them to develop a new habit. Right? So that you do every single morning. Something you do every single night. And you don't even think about it. Don't tell me what it is. Especially in the morning.
Yes.
You all have habits. Right? And you do them because you're doing them because you don't even have to think about it. That's a habit. Right? Like every day I wake up and I do the same thing. I go downstairs, I turn on the television, and I pet my dog. Who's sitting on the couch sleeping. And every morning when I go downstairs, I look at him and his little tail starts wagging.
Wow.
And that's him saying, good morning,
Yes.
right? He doesn't get up. He just wags his little tail. And he's so cute. So I go over and I turn the TV on in my kitchen and I pet him. And I spend like 2 or 3 minutes with the dog. And it's great. But I do it every single day. Don't even think about it, right? So it's like one little habit. Now, your job is to develop a new habit. So when somebody says, when do I take Intra? The answer is, it doesn't matter. Take it the same time every day.
Mm.
And the reason you're telling them to take it the same time every day is to form a new
Habit.
habit. Right? If it's more convenient in the morning, perfect. If it's more convenient before bed, perfect.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't matter when. Okay, especially with Intra, with or without food, any
Yes.
time of the day. But the habit part is the most important. Now, you know, as a distributor, in order to build your business, you have to develop new habits, right? Instead
Yes.
of watching television at night, you make phone calls. Instead of watching television at night, you go to a meeting. Right?
Yes.
So you're developing a new habit that's going to change your life for the better.
Yes.
Right? Your job as a distributor when it comes to the product is to get your new customer and your new distributors to develop new habits. It's really, really, really important. So when it comes to Nutria Plus, always take it with food. So what meal is most convenient for you? Is it breakfast? Is it your lunch at work? Is it dinner? It doesn't matter which meal. It doesn't matter. What is most convenient for you? Get them to make a commitment. Right? They tell you, I'm going to take Intra first thing in the morning. I'm going to take Fiber Life at home with dinner. Or at work with dinner. 3 days later, you call them up right after lunch. Did you take your Nutria Plus? And they're going to go, no, I forgot. Or, yes, I did. Right? So find out when they're taking the product and call them and check. It's called follow-up. Right? Show them that you care that they're using the product. Because the only way it's going to affect the 8 biological systems, the only way they're going to get a benefit, the only way, is if they use the product every day. Right? That's how they get a benefit. That's how customers become distributors, become executives, become ED6QLPL, become GMDs. Yes or yes? Okay? Being successful is about forming new habits.
Habits.
If you had good habits, you'd be successful. Right? If you had good health habits, your health span would be longer than maybe it is.
Yes.
Right? So you got to develop new habits. And the one thing about human beings, unlike my little dog, well, I can train him too. But humans can develop new habits. It's not that hard. One of the biggest things about developing a new habit successfully, the biggest thing, proven by science, is once you develop a new habit, you give yourself a reward. That is the most important thing, the reward, right? The reward is what keeps you focused on changing your behavior.
Yes.
So it's really perfectly okay to reward yourself, right? So you say to your new customers and your new distributors, if you form this new habit and you do this for 30 days, then you can have this reward, right? Having a reward for developing a new habit is crucial to success, okay? And developing a new habit is crucial to being healthier longer and being more successful in your lifestyles business. Okay? So that's your job as a distributor with your customers. Okay? So the 8-body system takes time. Now, with Intra, when to use Intra? Any time of the day, with or without food, hopefully the same time every day. Okay? Age of use. Any single person from the age of 1 to the age of 101, everybody here between the age of 1 and 101, raise your hands. Yes, all of you?
Yes.
All of you are Intra customers, not users, product users, right? Anybody between the ages of 1 and 101 can use Intra. If you find somebody who's 102, they can still use Intra. It's okay. Yeah. Okay? So, anybody. How much Intra do you need? That is a question that is extremely difficult to answer. Because it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, everybody's different. Everybody is in a different health and disease span.
Yes.
Everybody's 8 biological systems
It's
are
different.
working differently. Some people eat junk food all day long. Some people smoke cigarettes. Other people don't exercise. Other people have a ton of stress. Right? So it's very difficult to determine how much interest somebody needs. It's an individual thing. Okay? Most people start with 1 or 2 ounces of Intra per day. Others start much higher because they're facing a health challenge. Right?
Yes.
So it's really up to the individual. So when you have a customer, you should get to know a little bit about them. Do they exercise, go through, some people want to go increase the amount, some people stay at that level. It depends on how the product works for them. It really depends on each individual person. Okay? So that's really, really important with Intra. Now, the one thing I want to tell you about FiberLife here is we've got this particular slide here about how FiberLife works. Now, these capsules, right? These capsules that we use in, this is Nara's product, right? Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Disappearing trick. These particular capsules that we use, we do testing. Again, part of our testing for capsules, which we don't do for liquid, is called dissolution testing. Meaning, how quickly does the capsule dissolve?
Dissolves.
Okay, so there's a special test for this. Now, you should know in your stomach, the pH, which is the acidity level,
or alkaline.
is extremely high. Well, extremely low. So it has a very low pH, meaning very acidic. One of the reasons that Intra is preserved, stays naturally preserved, is because Intra has a pretty low pH. As an example, this water is neutral pH, which neutral is 7.
Yes.
Okay, 7 is neutral. Intra is 3.2. So Intra is more acidic.
Yes.
That's why sometimes it has a little burn in your throat, right?
Yeah.
And that's because we have tartaric and citric acid, which are natural ingredients coming from citrus fruits,
Yes.
which keep the product acidic so it lasts longer. Okay? So acidic is very important. Now, to give you an idea, your stomach, if neutral is 7, Intra is 3.2 to 3.4, that's our range, and your stomach is 1.2. Extremely acidic. Okay?
Yeah.
Your stomach has a lining around it,
Yes.
which prevents it from being eaten by the stomach acid.
Yes.
So when you eat food, especially protein, the acid in your stomach attacks the protein and starts breaking it apart, breaking it down, but it doesn't hurt your stomach normally unless
Yeah.
you have an ulcer,
Yes.
which is a big problem.
Yeah. Yes.
So when we do the testing, we have to make sure that these capsules dissolve quickly. Because some pills, when you buy supplements, some companies make the pills so cheap that they go right through your body. And they don't break apart and nothing happens, right? So I want you to know that this product breaks down and comes apart in your stomach in about 6 minutes. 6 minutes, which is extremely fast. It means that what's inside here, and our range is 6 to 8. The GMP rules, just so you know, it has to be less than 30 minutes, according to GMP rules.
Okay.
We're 6 to 8.
Beef on
So very, very quickly, meaning these capsules are very high quality, they're not cheap.
There is a
Okay, they're very, very high quality capsules. They break apart very quickly. The capsule shell is protein. It's completely natural to your body, but it's not vegetarian, it's animal source protein. Like if you're eating meat, or if you're eating fish, or you're eating chicken, or pork, or stuff like that, it's animal protein. But it's from cows, so it's like beef protein. Okay? So it's nothing that your body can't use. It just uses it like protein. Okay? And in 6 to 8 minutes, every single capsule breaks apart in the stomach, and then what's inside there mixes in with your food. Okay? The other thing about your stomach that's very interesting is that it moves all your food around like a mixer.
Yeah.
Now you can't feel this, luckily. Luckily you can't see it either. Okay? But your stomach doesn't just sit there and do nothing. It has these little muscles in it.
Yes.
Okay? So all the food that you're eating, everything that you eat during a meal, it's mixed up in your stomach. Then eventually, this is the most amazing process in the world. Okay? Your body breaks apart the fat separately from the protein, separately from the carbohydrates. And your body has these things called enzymes that break apart these different types of food.
Yeah.
So something goes after the rice, something goes after the beef, something goes after the fat. Okay? And it just breaks it all apart. What happens with this is that because these are extracts, okay, and they get mixed up with all your food, they're easily absorbed into the body.
Body.
Okay? So this is completely beneficial to the body because everything in here is going to get absorbed by the body. And that's very, very important. Like a lot of people think, well, and one reason about Intra, I mean, Intra doesn't even need 6 minutes, right?
Yes.
Because Intra is a liquid, it's automatic. But I want you to know that this, waiting 6 to 8 minutes, is not a problem. Okay? Because your body's working on all the food anyway. And that's why you should take these with food. Because the nutrients in here need things like fat, need things like protein to fully absorb them properly. So if you take this on an empty stomach, you're not going to, like drop dead, luckily. But you won't absorb as much. Okay? So it's more beneficial if you take it with food. So you'll get your money's worth, in other words, right? And you'll get all the benefits. Okay? So I want you to know this product and Fiber Life, which is a larger capsule. Okay, Fiber Life's a larger capsule, but it's the exact same material. And it goes under the same testing. So every batch goes for dissolution testing. And remember, the limit is less than 30 minutes by the GMP rules in Canada. And our testing is always 6 to 8 minutes. Okay, so very, very important. And we know how important it is to drink water with Fiber Life, right? Because soluble fiber absorbs water. That is why they call it soluble fiber. There's soluble fiber, insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber is the fiber that benefits cholesterol, lowers it. because it grabs cholesterol. You know when you brush your teeth and you take a shower, how many people brush their teeth every day? Please raise your hands. Thank you. How many people take a shower every day? Please raise your hands. Sir, you're not showering. Sir, raise your hands. It's just like yesterday. Okay? Don't make me come over there. Okay? All right, of course you do, because you're keeping your body clean on the outside. Yes. And you brush your teeth because you want your teeth to be clean. Now the thing is, the inside of your body needs a brushing too. Right?
Yes.
It really does, because it has to deal with a lot. Right? Soluble fiber like Fiber Life is the toothbrush and the bar of soap for the inside. Okay? So when you drink the water, and when the capsule breaks apart in 6 to 8 minutes, the soluble fiber in Fiber Life absorbs up to, I gotta get the number right, I think it's 50 times its weight in water.
Wow.
It's unbelievable how much water it absorbs.
Yeah.
And that gel becomes that little toothbrush and that little bar of soap, and it scrubs the inside of your body. It takes out cholesterol. It takes out certain toxins that are in your digestive system. Okay? And we know that this type of soluble fiber, the konjac root fiber, can dramatically reduce cholesterol. Okay? Which is very, very important. Okay? So, the water is crucial because that's what the fiber absorbs. Okay? And like I said, you're going to see when you do take the Fiber Life, if you want to lose weight, we're going to show you a little bit about, you know all about this blood sugar curve, right? Because here's the thing about this blood sugar curve. Here's the thing about insulin. Insulin is a hormone
Released by
that
the
is
pancreas.
produced by your
Pancreas.
Okay? The job of your pancreas every day, it's one of the hardest working organs in the body, especially a Filipino pancreas.
Manang dali siya maguba.
Boy, they're
Sa
hardworking.
pancreas.
You guys have the hardest working pancreases in the business of the human body. The job of the pancreas is to release
Insulin.
insulin. If your pancreas does not release insulin, your blood sugar level is
Shoot up.
dangerously high.
Yeah.
I mean dangerously high, which can cause you to black out, go into shock.
Yeah.
It's very, 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 very dangerous. So when you become an adult, you get diabetes 2 different ways. Number 1 is insulin does not release from the pancreas. That's why you take insulin injections.
Yeah.
Number 2, the second reason is your pancreas is making insulin, but you have so much fat tissue around your cells
Hala.
that the insulin cannot bring the sugar into the cells. Okay? Because there's too much fat tissue. That's why obesity and being overweight and fluffy contributes greatly to diabetes as an adult. Okay? Typically, people who make insulin but have too much fat cells have to take pills. They don't take insulin because there's no point, right? So they take these pills, and I'm not exactly sure how the pills work, but they help bring sugar into the cells. Because the sugar you eat in your body has to go somewhere.
Yes.
It has to go somewhere. If you're an athlete, if you're riding the Tour de France, anybody riding the Tour de France this year? No, eh?
No.
It would be my dream to do that. I'm into biking, all right? So my sport is cycling. And, you know, every other day, like it's called a habit, I ride my bike, right? And sometimes it's 20 kilometers, sometimes it's 50 kilometers, whatever. But it's at least an hour where I ride my bike, right? So when I'm riding, your heartbeat's going very, very high. And where I ride my bike, there's a lot of hills, right? So when you're riding up a hill, I have my phone in front of me. I'm just telling you this because I'm going to show you what happens, right? I have my phone in front of me, my iPhone on my bicycle, and it's a very expensive bike. Like that's where I spend my money. Right? It's worth like thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's very light, it's made of carbon, it's very high quality, right? So I have my phone on it, and on my phone it tells me my heart rate because I have a chest strap. So I know my heart rate and I know my speed because my phone is connected to a satellite, which tells me how fast I'm going. So when I'm going up a hill, there's a direct relationship between how slow you're going and what your heart rate is. So you can look on your bike and maybe your heart rate's 110. So you're feeling, you're going along nicely. Then you start to go up a hill and next thing you know it's 160, right? And you're slowing down and you're pedaling very slowly and you're just going, but your heart is just pounding. It's just pounding, right? Now my maximum is 180, my maximum is 181. I should never go over 181 heart rate, which is very, very high, right? So when you get to 160, 170, high 170, man, are you working. Now what's happening inside your body is every ounce of sugar, every single ounce of sugar is being burned immediately. Like there's nothing being stored. There's no body fat being stored. It's only sugar. So when you do a ride like that, let's say you go 50 kilometers, you're riding for 2 hours, you're averaging 25 kilometers an hour, you actually have to eat sugar, gels, right? So you might have a gel, and the gel is pure sugar. Now, if you ate a gel, it would be like eating a plate of rice. Your body would be making insulin. When I'm on my bike eating a gel, there's no insulin. It's burned immediately for energy, right? And then when you're going slower, when your heart rate's slower and you're going down a hill, your body is using fat for energy, right? So that's why you can stay slim if you exercise, right? Because your body's using fat for energy when your heart rate's lower. The point is, if you don't work out, if you don't raise your heart rate, all your body does is make insulin. Because it has to get rid of sugar. Sugar with insulin equals body fat. Because that's where it goes, right? Remember, it has to go somewhere. Either you burn it for energy. If you go and you fill up your car with gasoline and you don't drive it, and then you go back and you put more gasoline in it, it just overfills the tank, right? So when you put food in your body and you don't drive it, and you put more in, it just stores body fat. That's what insulin does. It's an automatic reaction. You can't prevent it from happening because the sugar is dangerous in your bloodstream. It has to go somewhere, right? So that's what insulin does. That's why FiberLife is so important, because it delays the reaction, okay? The less insulin your body makes, the less body fat you store, okay? So you know this reaction is very, very, very important. This right here is diabetes. This right here, this reaction, up and down all day, no exercise. Remember the 3 pillars, right? First is what you put in your body every day. Number 2 is, do you exercise? Are you active? Active. Don't use the word exercise, use the word active, right? That's very, very important, because that reaction equals this before you're 50 years old, okay? You don't want to be taking insulin. You don't want to be having to give yourself needles, right? So this is very crucial, this reaction, right? And there's that slow reaction. So, if you want to be there's 3 ways to use FiberLife. If your goal is to be less fluffy, to eat less, right? Because if you're not going to be active, you have to eat less. If you want less body fat, eat less and be more active, right? And don't make insulin all day long, right? Which means use FiberLife, okay? So, if you want to lose weight, take FiberLife 20 minutes before you eat. 20 minutes before you eat with a large glass of water. The gel expands in your tummy, and all of a sudden you're not as hungry. Because here's what controls your appetite. Okay? Your stomach does not control your appetite.
Without milk?
Your brain
Basta pang sa
controls
cholesterol.
your appetite.
Lagi, pwede rin ako take
Right?
FiberLife.
It's your brain telling you that you want to eat. It's your brain telling you that you want to have more rice. Unlimited. No. Okay, here's a new one. Unlimited rice. No or no?
Naliyog ka.
Yeah, now it's 4. So every time I say no or no, it minuses 1 yes or yes. So unlimited rice, no or no?
No!
Yes.
Yes, no.
New one, huh? Yeah, new one. Only for rice, no or no? White rice. If you want to be less flubby, use FiberLife before your meal. 20 minutes. If you're using FiberLife to control blood sugar, if you're using FiberLife to control or lower cholesterol, take it during your meal. Okay? Very, very important. Okay? That's the best way to use the product.